Don't we all ask ourselves, at least occasionally, how the future of the Cars franchise will look like in, let's say, 10 years? It's been 17 years since the first film. From time to time we were fueled with a bunch of media that brought us new diecasts, but after the last film it has become more quiet. Last year though, we were finally rewarded with another installment, Cars on the Road, that now celebrates its first anniversary. The Disney Plus show surely has lots of spark and will bear lots of diecasts for the coming years. But what many wonder about is how popular Cars is as of today, how much spark is left in the entire franchise, and what future projects hold for us. That's what we'll discuss today. So first of all, let's take a look at the timeline. With the DVD release of Cars in 2006, we got a brand new short, Mater and the Ghost Light. Only 2 years later, Pixar launched a series of short films, Mater's Tall Tales, that originally ran until 2010. After the release of Cars 2, the last but one short, Air Mater prepared us for the first ever spin-off in the Cars world, Planes. Time Travel Mater followed in 2012. Two Planes films were released theatrically in the following 2 years, as well as three Tales from Radiator Springs shorts that all ran less than a minute, but in 2014 a longer short, the Radiator Springs 500 and a half, came out and even brought us a bunch of new characters to be made as toys. However, another short, To Protect and Serve, was ultimately cancelled. Interestingly, there's a gap until the release of Cars 3 in 2017. A third Planes film, set to be released in 2019, was cancelled due to the shutdown of the Disney Toon Studios, with it some more spin-offs like Metro. Hell knows why the studio closed, but of course it was not attributed to a lackluster in the Cars franchise. Another Tinkerbell film was cancelled as well, although the series was quite successful. All we got until Cars on the Road was Miss Fritter's Racing School, more of a commercial type shot, and the voiceless Pixar popcorn shorts in 2021. In a previous video I have already talked about the performance of the show on Disney Plus, but I'd like to summarize and compare to similar formats again now. Cars on the Road had a top 10 streak for 2 weeks, top 20 for 19 days and top 30 for 26 days, only being dethroned once in that time frame. The best position was second for 4 consecutive days, and on average it placed 11th during the top 30 streak. In comparison, I have listed Baymax and Zootopia Plus from Disney and Duck Days from Pixar. The first performed less good than On the Road. Duck Days had a better performance for the top 10 and top 20 streaks, although its best finish was only third. Zootopia Plus outperformed them all with a 33-day top 30 streak, including a minor interruption, and even made it to the first place to give it an average 5.5. Note all of the show data originates from flixpetrol.com. To get a better picture of what that actually means, we should regard all financial details. Baymax's performance is significantly low, as Big Hero 6, the original film, grossed more than $650 million worldwide and had received a 3-season TV show before. Pixar's Up had a $735 million box office compared to about $460 for Cars, and Zootopia's $1 billion box office obviously make it a prime league competitor. This doesn't mean though that the Cars heydays are over. Conversely, it's well doing as far as I can see that. With around $560 million box office, Cars 2 outperformed the first film. However, it had a $200 million budget compared to $120 for the first film, giving it a reproduction of around 2.8, whereas the original had a score of 3.8. Also, while not bombing, Cars 3 had the lowest revenue with $384 million against a $175 budget, scoring around 2.2. However, after bad audience and critic scores for Cars 2, it's not too much of a surprise that interest declined, but I remember Mattel being quite happy with sales for the Cars 3 merchandise. Also, the weaker box office explains why we got a short show for Disney Plus in 2022 instead of a fourth film for now. Anyways, Cars on the Road performed solidly. First, compared to Baymax, it seems to maintain a broader fan base. Second, it equals Zootopia Plus if we take into account that Zootopia had a much bigger theatrical appeal than any of the Cars films. Third, Cars diecasts are still selling. In early 2021, Mattel recognized Cars had a quote-unquote great fourth quarter in 2020 and is an evergreen brand that maintains strong performance even in years without a new feature film. They might have had decreasing sales in 2018 and 19, but this is just natural after the Cars 3 hype flattens. Also, Mattel stated in their 2021 recall that sales for the franchise grew, quote-unquote, a particularly big deal given 2021 was a non-movie year. If you further consider the fact that many stores were still closed due to COVID during the first months of the year, this might even mean more. The term particularly big deal highlights the sales, in my opinion, leading to the conclusion we don't talk about a moderate increase. Mattel even states such increases in a non-year movie are never easy to do. By the way, this person also said they love that brand, which is always nice to hear. Anyways, the sales grew once more in 2022, with the toys, quote-unquote, revving up sales for a second consecutive year and for the first time ever without a theatrical. Again, the term revving up and the reference to the absence of a film allude to a considerable growth. You can now refer that to Cars on the Road alone, but that assumption doesn't work in my opinion. When Cars 3 was launched, we had around 20 playsets, the Demo Derby plastic vehicle sideline, and around 100 of new vehicles. In 2022, we only got about a dozen of new cars for the show and half a dozen for the 3 films, as well as way less playsets. I believe it can be attributed more to a focus on main characters by Mattel, as they pulled out loads of McQueens in all single cases, even more than in 2021, that already featured a quantity of 27 Rust-eze McQueens in 12 cases. Plus, others like the King or Sally had a much higher quantity too. Additionally, we haven't really had a sideline, as only the last few NASCAR racers and Welcome to Radiator Springs models were pulled out, compared to previous years. All in all, we can thus pretend that the Mattel line performs very well. I can't state yet whether 2023 will be another year of growth, but what I can definitely say is that I witness good sales in my region. In 2 out of the 3 leading online shops, the Glow Racers Mac has already sold out, plus it's gone in multiple stores. Also, when Case J hit Smith stores in August, many fan favorites like the King, McQueen, or On the Road Cruise have been sold fast, even though prices were increased. One store even sold all 6 Rumbler McQueens that were in the 3 cases they received. I also remember playsets like the Tyrannosaurus Rex being quite popular. Other than that, when Amazon.com received the Ivy 3-pack this year, it was sold out several times within the first few weeks of being available. Same applies to the Salt Fever 9-pack that released in December. The Glow Racer sideline will definitely have an impact on sales this year too. Another point I'd like to make is on the general streaming performance of Cars. According to FlixPetrol, the first film has been among the top 20 titles constantly since February the 1st of this year, with only a minor interruption. In April, it even entered the top 10 frame for 3 consecutive weeks, with positions being as high as 3rd. The pattern of the last 12 months resembles the one from Frozen a lot, which is a good sign, taking into account that both Frozen films were far above the $1 billion mark at the global box office. In some countries, Cars even holds quite constant top 10 positions on Disney+, such as the US, where it originates, the Czech Republic and Slovakia, Australia, and some South American and North European territories. What I wonder about is that a second season for Cars on the Road hasn't been announced yet. It's understandable, as the franchise doesn't need it at the moment financially, but also slightly stupid, as we've been teased about it at the end of the show, and because it only took 2 years for the Monsters Inc. show to be revived. Season 2 releases this year and has much longer episodes, so how much time could it take for Cars? If you're interested in my expectations and thoughts for a potential sequel to On the Road, I recommend you watching my video about it that will be linked here. I still believe the future for Cars holds some surprises for us. In the end, we'll probably see a 4th film at some point, or at least more content for Disney+. What I wish though is to receive more entertainment now. I've rolled out for you the amount of media from 2006 to 2014. This was also intensified by a bunch of video games. Cars in 2006, Mattel National a year later, Racerama in 2009, Cars Toons in 2010, Cars 2 in 2011, Planes in 2013, Planes 2 in 2014, and the phone game Fast as Lightning. I still hear lots of people dream about it. We could really need more video games, or at least restored and expanded versions of such as Racerama. Anyways, thank you very much for watching and see you on soon.